Once upon a time, in a quiet green meadow, surrounded by tall trees and colorful flowers, lived a colony of hardworking ants. These ants were always busy, always moving, and always planning for the future. Among them was a wise old ant named Aaron, who guided the colony and often reminded them, "My children, never waste your time. Life is unpredictable. You must prepare for the future. Gather food for the cold winter days, for if you don't store food now, you may starve when the first snow falls." All the ants respected Aaron and followed his advice. From sunrise to sunset, they collected grains, seeds, and tiny bits of food. They carried heavy loads on their backs, never complaining, always thinking of the cold, harsh winter that would soon arrive. In the same meadow, not far from the ants, lived a cheerful grasshopper named Gary. Gary was tall and green, with long legs perfect for jumping high and a chirping voice that filled the meadow with music. He loved to sing, dance, and enjoy the warm sunshine. Every day, while the ants carried their food and worked tirelessly, Gary would sit on a leaf, strumming his wings like a violin, and sing joyfully. Why worry about tomorrow when today is so bright? Let's sing, let's laugh from morning till night. The ants often passed by him, sweating under the weight of their food. One day, the wise ant Aaron stopped and said, "Gary, why don't you gather food like us? Winter is coming, and you will not find anything to eat when the snow covers the meadow." "Oh Aaron, my friend, why spoil today with worries about tomorrow? Look at the sunshine, smell the flowers, hear the breeze. Life is for enjoyment, not for carrying heavy loads all day. Winter is far away. There is plenty of time." And with that, Gary went back to his song. Aaron shook his head and continued working. Summer days of joy. The summer days passed quickly. Gary sang louder, danced higher, and wasted no moment on work. The ants, however, grew busier as the days shortened. Their underground storage chambers filled with seeds and grains. It was hard work, but the ants felt proud knowing they were safe for the coming winter. Gary often teased them. "Look at you, working like slaves while I enjoy the music of life." He laughed. The ants ignored his words and kept working. Autumn arrived soon. The leaves began to change colors, yellow, orange, and red. The warm air of summer turned cooler. The ants doubled their efforts, carrying the last bits of food before the frost arrived. Gary still played his songs, though fewer insects remained to listen. The butterflies had flown away. The bees had vanished into their hives, and the meadow began to grow silent. One chilly morning, Gary woke up shivering. He looked around for food but found nothing. The grass was dry. The flowers had withered, and no seeds were left on the ground. He hopped to the ants' hill and saw them working cheerfully underground. "Aaron," he called desperately, "dear friend, may I come inside? I am hungry and cold. Please give me something to eat." Aaron opened the entrance to the hill and asked, "What brings you here, Gary? You know we are busy preparing for the winter." "I know, Aaron, and I have wasted all my time playing when I should have gathered food. Now I am hungry and afraid. Please help me. We don't have much time, Gary, and you must understand that we are doing this for our children. They need food too. We cannot waste time helping those who have wasted theirs." Gary understood then that he was alone. No one would help him. Winter was coming, and without food, he would freeze. With heavy steps, he went back to his empty home under the withered grass. The wind blew strongly, and the first snowflakes began to fall. Gary curled up in a ball, trying to keep warm. He thought of all the times he had laughed at the ants, and how they had warned him. Shame filled his heart. As the night grew colder, he heard a scratching sound. At first it was faint, but it grew louder and louder. Then he saw little holes being dug all around him. Gary trembled in fear as the wind whispered through the tall grasses. Suddenly, the holes were filled with earth, and many small feet began to move around him. "Help me!" Gary cried out, but no one answered. He watched in horror as a group of hungry mice dragged him away. They wanted to make him part of their winter feast. Gary struggled, but the mice were strong and swift. He had wasted his strength in the summer and could not fight back. Meanwhile, in the cozy underground chambers of the anthill, the ants were eating their stored grains. The fire ants had survived the winter once again. Suddenly, Aaron remembered Gary and felt a pang of sympathy for him. "We should have helped him," he said sadly. "We might have saved him from the mice." The young ants shook their heads. "No, father," they said. "We had enough food for our colony, but not for another. We did what was best for us and our children. That is all that matters." Just then, a strong wind shook the anthill. The ants looked out to see a terrible blizzard raging outside. "Oh dear," they cried, for the worst winter was yet to come. Suddenly, Aaron shouted with joy, "Quick, everyone, get your buckets. There is water under the hill. It is rising fast." Quickly, the ants carried water to the surface and made holes in the ice that covered the meadow. When the sun returned, the ants saw that Gary was lying near the anthill. His body was stiff and frozen, and his eyes were closed forever. A single tear rolled down Aaron's face. The young ants, however, were unmoved. They had never liked Gary and his silly songs. Now, they said, "Look, another lesson for you. If you do not work hard and store food, you will end up like Gary, frozen and hungry." Aaron sighed. He knew they were right, but he wished Gary had listened to him and joined the ants in their hard work. Maybe then he would have lived. But Gary was fond of his freedom and preferred to live on the edge, enjoying each day as it came. As the spring returned to the meadow, the ants began their work once again. They had lost many in the winter, and now they needed more food for the colony. Youngest ants came up to Aaron and asked, "Father, where is the best place to gather food?" "Go to the south," said Aaron. "There you will find a field full of ripe berries. Bring them here, and we will store them for the winter." As the ants marched away, Aaron stayed behind. He looked towards Gary's home under the withered grass. A small sprout had pushed its way up and was shining in the sunlight.